Imagine having like a literal backstage pass to the universe.
Oh, man. That would be incredible.
Right. I mean, we are talking about seeing things that no human being is allowed to see, and uncovering the absolute hidden architecture of reality itself.
Yeah, the ultimate inside scoop.
Exactly. And if you had that experience, you would definitely put it on your resume,
I
right?
mean, I would write a best-selling book immediately.
Seriously, you would leverage it for everything it was absolutely worth. But today, we're looking at a historical giant who took his ultimate jaw-dropping flex and just, well, he completely buried it.
He really did. It's wild.
He chose instead to step into the public square and brag about his most humiliating, agonizing failures. But before we get into all that, welcome to today's deep dive. And before we plunge into this material, we want to pray a divine blessing over your day and your entire week.
Yes, absolute.
Wherever you are listening from, and whatever heavy things you might be carrying right now, we really hope this time brings you clarity, peace, and just a completely fresh perspective on what it actually means to be strong.
It is genuinely great to be with you all. And, I mean, we are stepping into some deeply challenging, really countercultural territory today.
We really are. We are focusing our lens on a fascinating letter from antiquity, specifically 2 Corinthians chapter 12. And the reason this text is so captivating is, well, it's because of the stark contrast it provides to our modern lives.
Oh, completely. The contrast is night and day.
Because we live in a society that is just obsessed with curating perfection,
Yeah, we polish our feeds, we hide our flaws.
Right, and we reframe our failures as mere stepping stones to our inevitable greatness. It's all just PR. But the Apostle Paul takes the exact opposite approach here.
He really does. He upends the entire concept of success and power.
And he starts by sharing an experience that sounds, honestly, incredibly mysterious.
Yeah, he describes this profound vision that occurred about 14 years prior to him writing this letter.
Wait, 14 years? He sat on this for that long?
Yeah, 14 years, which places the event roughly around 42 to 44 AD, likely while he was somewhere near Tarsus or maybe Antioch.
Okay, wow. That's a long time to keep quiet about something so huge.
It really is. And he talks about a, quote, man in Christ, being caught up to what he calls the third heaven, or paradise.
The third heaven?
Right, where he says he heard inexpressible words, things that humans are just not permitted to repeat.
That phrase, the third heaven, it always trips me up.
Really? How so?
Well, to a modern ear, it sounds like he's describing, like, a video game with different levels to unlock. Level 1, level 2, third heaven.
Oh, right, yeah, like you beat a boss and move up a level.
Exactly. So how would a first-century audience have actually understood that geography?
Well, it helps to think about it less like a video game and more like the architecture of an ancient royal court.
Okay, a royal.
Yeah, because ancient Jewish cosmology categorized the sky into 3 distinct logical realms. So the first heaven is simply the immediate atmosphere. Think of it as the outer courtyard.
Like where the birds are flying around.
Exactly. It's where the clouds are, the birds, the air we literally breathe every day.
Okay, got it.
Then the second heaven is what we would call outer space. So the realm of the sun, the moon, and the stars. You kind of think of that as the inner rooms of the palace.
Right, the stuff we can see but can't reach.
Exactly. And then the third heaven, that was the unseen realm, the very throne room and dwelling place of God himself.
Oh, wow. So he's saying he went straight to the throne room.
Yes, Paul claims the curtain to this ultimate reality was completely pulled back for him. And the Greek word used here for revelation is actually apocalypsis.
Which gives us the word apocalypse.
Right.
So, of course, we immediately think of the end of the world, destruction, fire, zombies, all of that.
Yeah, our modern definition is heavily skewed by movies. But the literal mechanics of the ancient word are actually much more elegant.
How so?
Well, it comes from 2 words. Apo, which basically means away, and kaluma, which means veil.
Oh,
A veil.
Yeah,
Right?
right.
So an apocalypse isn't a disaster at all. It is simply an unveiling.
An unveiling, that makes so much more sense.
Yeah, it's just the act of pulling away the curtain to reveal what was already there, but was just hidden from our limited view.
Okay, so this cosmic veil is pulled back. He gets this mind-blowing glimpse of the actual throne room. And yet, and this is the part that gets me, he writes about it in the third person.
Yes, the I know a man framing.
Right. I know a man in Christ who 14 years ago, why the bizarre distancing, it feels almost like he is like ghostwriting his own autobiography to stay out of the spotlight.
It really does sound like that.
Because if I have this experience, let's be honest, I am front and center in that narrative. I am the star of that story.
Oh, we all would be today.
Yeah.
But that distancing is actually a masterclass in subverting expectations.
Mm.
You have to remember the context. Paul is operating in a first-century Mediterranean culture that is entirely driven by honor and shame.
Right, honor was everything.
It was the currency of the day. In that world, if you have status, you claim it. You wear it publicly. You don't hide it.
But he does hide it.
Well, he's deeply reluctant to share this cosmic resume. He's only doing it because he's dealing with these critics in Corinth who are constantly boasting about their own flashy spiritual credentials.
Oh, so he's kind of forced into a corner.
Exactly. He's just essentially forced to say, look, if we really have to trade spiritual resumes here, I have experiences you cannot even fathom. But by putting it in the third person, he intentionally starves his own ego.
He refuses to take the credit.
Right. He refuses to extract personal honor from the experience. He's saying the vision matters, but he doesn't matter.
Wow. And you know, that deliberate starvation of his ego makes total sense when you look at the immediate aftermath of this vision.
Yes, the plunge.
Because this wasn't just some noble philosophical choice to be humble, right? It was almost a survival mechanism because he goes straight from this ultimate spiritual high to a sudden agonizing plummet.
Precisely. The text reveals this really direct cause and effect.
Yeah.
To keep him from becoming completely arrogant because of the sheer magnitude of these revelations, he was given something to ground him, something painful.
The famous thorn in the flesh.
Right. He calls it a thorn in the flesh, a messenger of Satan sent to torment him. And it was so agonizing, so terrible, that he pleaded with God 3 separate times to completely remove it.
Just begged for it to be taken away. And historically, the theories about what this thorn actually was, I mean, they are all over the map.
Oh, absolutely. Mostly because Paul completely refuses to name this specific affliction.
Which, of course, has fueled centuries of intense scholarly debate. Everyone wants to know what the thorn was.
Human curiosity can't handle a mystery.
No, we really can't. But based on the study notes and the historical analysis we're looking at, there are basically 3 main buckets that these theories fall into.
Yeah, 3 primary categories.
The first is physical. So some scholars point to severe chronic eye problems, like perhaps a condition that literally made him physically repulsive to look at, which would be hard for a public speaker.
Right, or maybe debilitating recurring migraines that just laid him out.
Yeah. Then the second bucket is psychological or spiritual. Like maybe he was navigating these crushing, paralyzing episodes of depression or battling some intense, relentless temptation that he couldn't shake.
Also very possible. And the third theory?
The third is relational, meaning the exhausting, just constant persecution and betrayal from his opponents wherever he went. Like a literal thorn in his side in the form of other people.
And, while historians just love to debate the specifics of which bucket is right, the intentional ambiguity of the text is actually brilliant.
Why do you say that?
Well, by leaving the thorn unnamed, it becomes this incredible universal placeholder.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah, anyone listening to this deep dive who is carrying a chronic illness or maybe a secret struggle or just a heavy emotional burden, they can insert their own experience into Paul's narrative.
That's incredibly powerful. I really appreciate the poetry of that. But I have to stop and question the core logic here because, honestly, from a modern perspective, it is really hard to swallow.
Logic of the thorn.
Yeah. Let's really crack open this idea. If God has the ultimate power, the power to literally pull back the cosmic veil and show Paul the third heaven, why leave the thorn?
It's the age-old question of suffering.
Right. If I have the power to fix a gaping hole in my roof, I fix the roof. I don't just put a bucket underneath the leak and tell my family that the bucket is sufficient.
Right. You want the problem solved.
Exactly. Leaving the agonizing obstacle in place when you ostensibly have the power to instantly erase it, well, it just seems completely backwards to me. Isn't fixing the problem the ultimate flex of power?
It definitely seems backwards if your definition of power is purely about escaping difficulty.
Which is how most of us define it.
Exactly. And that is exactly what Paul himself is wrestling with when he begs for the thorn to be removed. He wants the escape, but the answer he receives forces a total redefinition of divine power.
The big aha moment.
Yes. The profound answer is, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness.
Perfected in weakness. That is just so wild to think about.
Right. Because we naturally operate under the assumption that power is demonstrated by, giving us a smooth, victorious, frictionless path. We want the obstacle completely erased.
We want the promotion, the healing, the easy win.
But Paul is learning this radical paradigm shift. Sometimes ultimate power is demonstrated not by removing the burden, but by sustaining the person through the burden.
Sustaining them through it.
Yes, the power isn't in the absence of the struggle, it is in the endurance of it. His physical or emotional weakness actually becomes the necessary empty vessel that allows a strength greater than his own to operate.
Wow. That completely shatters the modern paradigm. I mean, just think about how we operate on social media or in corporate culture today. Oh, it's the exact opposite today.
Right. When we have a thorn, like a massive failure, a scary health crisis, getting fired or demoted, we immediately throw a filter over it.
We hide it at all costs.
Or if we do share it, we only do so once we are safely on the other side of it, right? We frame it as this like necessary stepping stone to our current brilliant success. Look how I overcame this. We never just sit in the weakness while it's happening.
No, because we view unresolved weakness as a fatal liability to our personal brand.
Exactly, a total liability. But Paul takes his biggest, most unresolved liability, this agonizing thorn, and he essentially puts it on a billboard. He claims that when he is weak, then he is truly strong.
But we have to remember, this radical vulnerability wasn't just like a personal philosophy he could quietly mull over alone in his tent.
Oh no, it had real-world consequences.
Massive consequences. It was actively costing him his followers. This embrace of weakness was totally baffling and honestly deeply offensive to a specific group of flashy influencers who were actively trying to hijack his community in Corinth. Ah, yes. Enter the super apostles.
The super apostles. That is Paul's highly sarcastic label for his opponents.
I love that he gets a little sarcastic.
Oh, he's full of irony here. These individuals swept into the church boasting about their unparalleled speaking skills, their dramatic spiritual experiences, and, their impeccable appearances.
The ancient version of Instagram models and self-help gurus?
Basically, yeah. And they pointed at Paul, a guy who was clearly suffering, who worked a manual labor job making tents to support himself, who carried this agonizing thorn. And they essentially told the Corinthians, look at this loser. He is weak. We are the elite.
And the most fascinating mechanism of their manipulation, at least to me, was how they handled money.
The financial conflict is huge here.
Because unlike these slick fake apostles, Paul absolutely refused to charge the Corinthians a single dime for his ministry or his teaching. He funded himself entirely.
Which you'd think they would appreciate.
Right. You'd expect them to say, wow, thank you so much for your generosity, Paul. But instead, they actually looked down on him for it. And Paul responds with this biting, heavy irony in the letter, writing, forgive me this wrong, for not being a financial burden to them.
It's a brilliant piece of sarcasm. He's basically saying, I am so incredibly sorry I didn't exploit you for your cash.
Please forgive me for not scamming you. And the modern equivalent is just so clear here. Look at the whole online influencer and self-help industry today.
Oh, the master classes.
Exactly. You have these flashy gurus selling the illusion of success, and they charge, what, $10,000, $20,000 for an exclusive mastermind class?
Or the weekend retreat.
Right. And they do it intentionally because human psychology dictates that if it costs an exorbitant amount of money, it must be life-changing.
Price implies authority.
Yes.
Yeah.
If it's expensive, it must be good. Meanwhile, Paul, the guy who has literally seen the hidden secrets of the universe, the third heaven, he is the genuine mentor giving the gold away for free. And simply because it's free, they assume it must be worthless.
The masterclass analogy is incredibly close, but, in antiquity, the dynamic was actually even more insidious than just the perceived value of the information.
Really? How so?
It was tied into the whole social structure.
Yeah.
In the Greco-Roman world, the relationship between a teacher and a student was bound up in the patronage system.
Okay, patronage. So it's about status.
Entirely. Having a highly paid, flashy philosopher as your teacher was a massive status symbol for the student.
Oh, I see. So paying exorbitant fees actually made the Corinthians themselves feel important.
Exactly. It proved to society that they were wealthy and sophisticated enough to afford the very best gurus. So when Paul refused to play that financial game and chose to work with his own hands to support himself, he wasn't just being humble.
He was actively denying them the social status they craved.
Yes. He humiliated them by treating them not as prestigious clients, but as family, which brings up the specific metaphor he uses to defend his whole financial strategy.
The parental analogy. He tells them, children shouldn't have to save up wealth for their parents. Parents save up for their children.
It's such a tender shift in tone. He changes the entire paradigm from a transactional, status-driven business deal to an unconditional, familial bond.
He's stepping into the role of a father.
Yeah, Paul is telling them, I am your spiritual parent. My motive is not to extract your resources to build my own platform or brand. My motive is to invest my very life into you.
Which is the opposite of the super apostles.
Totally. He points out that neither he nor his colleague Titus ever took advantage of them. They acted out of pure parental love. They wanted the Corinthians' hearts, not their wallets.
But, as any parent knows, parental love usually leads to a lot of parental dread when the kids are acting out and making terrible choices.
Oh, it's definitely.
And I think that explains the intense psychological shift in the text as Paul prepares for his upcoming visit.
Yeah, he is preparing for his third visit to Corinth, and the tone becomes incredibly grave here.
Very serious.
He wants to ensure they understand that all of this, the story of the third heaven, the vulnerable explanation of his thorn, the defense of his free labor, none of this was to stroke his own ego or win some sort of popularity contest against the super apostles.
It wasn't a PR campaign.
Right. It was done before God, entirely for their edification. He's desperately trying to build them up before he actually arrives.
Because he is deeply, deeply worried that they haven't been building themselves up at all. I mean, the sources note that Corinth wasn't just your standard ancient city.
No, it was notorious.
It was this wealthy, hyper-competitive, cosmopolitan port city. It was literally famous across the Mediterranean for its extreme moral laxity and just fluid boundaries. And Paul expects to find that the church has completely absorbed this toxic pagan culture.
Yeah, he provides a devastating laundry list of the sins he fears he will find when he gets there.
It's like he's reading them the riot act.
He really is. He lists discord, jealousy, fits of rage, selfish ambition, slander, gossip, arrogance, and unrepentant sexual immorality.
Just a total mess.
The community is essentially tearing itself apart from the inside out.
Okay, so if I am Paul, and I am looking at this mess from afar, I am cutting my losses.
You just walk away.
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. If this community is mocking my illnesses, paying grifters for fake wisdom, and devolving into a chaotic, toxic mess, I am done with them. Why is he even planning a third visit? Is he just experiencing the anxiety of a frustrated manager who's worried about a bad performance review from his team? Or is something deeper going on here?
Well, this is where we see the profound difference between a manager and a spiritual parent.
Okay, unpack that.
A manager is worried about productivity, right? Key performance indicators, or just maintaining their own authority and brand reputation.
Yeah, if a team is toxic, a manager fires them to protect the company.
Exactly. You cut them loose. But Paul's grief is entirely different. His actual goal, his only real metric for success, isn't maintaining his authority. It's the moral and spiritual flourishing of these people.
So he's not worried about his metrics. He's mourning their souls.
Yes. He explicitly states his fear that when he arrives, God will humble him before them, and he will have to openly mourn for those who have sinned and refuse to change.
Mourn for them.
Notice the emotion he anticipates. It's not righteous fury. It's not the vindication of stomping in and saying, "I told you so."
It's absolute heartbreak.
Right. It's the grief of a spiritual parent. He is offering tough love and real accountability, not to punish them, but because he desperately wants them to experience the true transformation they were originally called to.
Looking at the whole picture we've painted today, it's just wild how Paul's strategy flips the entire script on power and leadership.
It completely upends it.
We are so conditioned to hide our thorns behind a filter, terrified that any hint of weakness will disqualify us from success. But Paul shows us that trying to manufacture invincibility is actually a trap. True strength and genuine sustaining grace is only unlocked when we stop fighting our vulnerabilities and actually start embracing them.
And he proves that genuine leadership is never driven by profit or the need for social status or the desperate urge to look flawless. True leadership is always motivated by love and the sincere, agonizing desire to build others up, even when it costs you everything.
It is a profound, incredibly challenging way to view our own struggles. And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to mull over as you go about your week.
Yeah, a little something to take with you.
We spend an exorbitant amount of energy curating our strengths, trying to prove to the world that we have it all together. But think about your own life. What if you were suddenly forced to boast only about the things that make you weak?
Wow.
If you had to lead with your thorns, the failures, the chronic struggles, the unpolished edges, how would that radical vulnerability change the way the people around you see your true character?
I mean, it completely changes the atmosphere of any room you walk into.
It's
terrifying, but it's real.
It really is. Thank you for joining us on this journey today. We covered some heavy and fascinating ground, and we hope it was as illuminating for you to listen to as it was for us to explore. Remember that God blesses all of you listening today. Take care, embrace the thorns along the way, and we'll see you next time.